Hello and welcome again, Cosmic Quantum Travelers. I hope everybody is well. I was guided to come on once more to say a few bits. I haven't made any notes today. Basically, the event has been initiated. It's here now. And I'm going to share some last navigational tips and coordinates that hopefully will help us with the unfoldments at the moment. So I've noticed a lot of fear in the collective, and I wanted to share a few tips on how to deal with what's coming up for some of us, and then also just a broader story of what I see unfolding. As most of you have seen, I've shared a few posts on an activation I'm going to be sharing, facilitating tomorrow, or rather today. So it's where I am now. It's 10 past 1, so 0110, on the 22nd of January. So it's a 1/22/222 date, and it's very potent. So I think we can all feel the intensity of the energies that have been ongoing, especially this week. Was it just this week? It's really hard to tell at this point. I think it was this week, yeah. With the whole Tonga volcano shockwave and solar shockwaves and little tsunamis and so forth, which mainly have a very energetic impact on the consciousness. So there's been a lot of shifting this week, a lot of timeline shifts, a lot of clearing, especially really since the new year. We are going through a portal, an ascension portal, which we are now ready to come out of, so to say. So what I received today was really, I was going out doing a bit of shopping, and then it just hit me that it's done. And I really, I started to have tears, and I almost felt like breaking down just from it was just a frequency that was activated in my field. People that understand that will know what I'm talking about. And I just knew it's done. And it's millions and billions of years of undertaking, which we are talking about here. Although we do operate in no time, but still, I can feel all these years of incarnation. So, the message is, it is done. The event has been fully anchored, locked, and sealed, and is initiated. So we are already in the event stage, pre-event stage, as I've shared previously. And tomorrow, today, on the 22nd, we are going to do the activation where we are calling forth, anchor in, the event, full compression breakthrough, and triple HELIX DNA activation. So if you haven't seen that yet, check that out on my page in the last few posts. So what we are doing is we are being asked by Source, and I mean this, when I say I speak as a messenger, so to say, for Source, I do not say this lightly, okay? So I am not here to convince anyone or, come up with a story of make-believe. This is a message I am receiving from Source that we are now ready for the event. It has been initiated. Everything is set. Some other people already can feel the truth of that. And if it resonates with you, fine. If it doesn't, leave it, or, take what resonates and leave the rest, as they usually like to say, as is with everything. So, but my thing is, for the people who followed me for a little while, is all about us remembering that we came here to be the conscious, super conscious co-creators of our realities, because we always co-create this as one consciousness. It's just that so far we haven't been aware of it. Kitty agrees. She was just saying, meow, meow. She wants me to play with her. Anyway, so sorry, Kitty, in a bit. Now, what was I saying? So we are here to make this happen. We are not just waiting for it, wondering when it happens, or someone even like me telling you that it's going to happen. And I'm not even saying that it is going to happen over the next 24 hours, but we are at least, at the very, very least, triggering the event. Now, anything is possible, okay? Ultimately, this is full surrender to divine will. That's the last step in any manifestation. And it's Where I'm at, it's the both end. I'm fully confident this is it, but I'm also totally surrendered and leaving it open, the outcome of things, because that's where we need to be. We cannot have any attachment to anything. Okay, and that's where I now come into where many people are. Fear. Now, this matrix is based on fear program. Okay, so on this ascension journey, we naturally are going to come across tests and initiations that will squeeze the fear out of us. And in a sense, we've been going through this collectively for the last 2 years. To some, it might seem as if people have more fear, but it's really also a timeline bleed through of many other timelines, because everything is converging. This is a convergence of timelines into one now moment, into one reality experience beyond our concept of time and space. So we have to transcend that. Our concepts at the moment of anything we believe, we think is going to happen, not happen, what we think is right, wrong, one way or another way, what ascension is, exactly how it's going to work out, okay? Not that you can't believe in anything, just don't be attached to it. And ultimately, ascension is about transcending all fear. Fear of death, ultimately, is what this boils down to. And this is also what we've been going through as a collective. If you think about it, it's all the root chakra related. It's fear of death, fear of disease, not having a roof over your head, how to pay the bills, and so forth. So we have to transcend these themes, especially as we are more consciously taking part in this ascension process, although everybody is a part of it, okay, just different levels of conscious awareness. We came here to break through these fear programs, which is keeping us connected to the fear matrix. So along the path, we're going to have, fear coming up on we might lose our job, family, friends, partners, money, houses, anything and everything. From my own experience, I'm at a point for the last 2 years now, I have literally my belongings fit into 3 boxes. That's me done. I gave everything up. I don't have a home to myself. I live with my mother in a living room kitchen. So I've stripped it all away. And I have also, we all have certain fears. So for me at the moment, it's like there's no fear left, literally, because I'm ready for ascension, which is also what used to happen, let's say, at the pyramids. So the sarcophaguses, for me, were part of initiations and rites where people had to be in for, let's say, 3 days in the sarcophagus, transcending their fear of death. You also hear this from some shamanic traditions where they're being buried underneath the earth and just with a little pipe going out to breathe air. I don't know for how long, maybe a night, to transcend all the fears and the inner demons, really, because if you also talk about attachments and so forth, it is all based on fear. That's the entry point, okay? So we all have the responsibility to transcend this for ourselves. And as we do this for ourselves, we also do this for the collective, okay? We are just here to do the bulk part of the job and be doing it consciously. So the way I have transcended fear, things like, I mentioned this the other day, when I broke off with my ex, who I also have a daughter with, there weren't so many options of what could be done. I'm not going to go through details, but it basically ended up in me leaving the house that we rented. He was paying for everything. I didn't have a job at the time. I was looking after my daughter, so I didn't have any income. I had 70 euros in my pocket, but I left the house. My daughter wanted to stay with him at the time. And, without involving any major drama or creating any, I basically left the house because this was also higher guidance. I just had to, get out of the situation that was just constantly arguing and like a war zone in that sense. So that wasn't good for anyone. So I had to do the right thing, but to my expense, which was, I had nowhere to go to. I literally had a friend with a sofa for one night, which was very small and very uncomfortable. I literally did not sleep one bit. But it brought me into a place where I didn't listen to my guidance, and then I started writing on Facebook. I asked people for donations. Here I am still 3.5 years later, doing roughly the same thing. But I shared my experience, people helped me out, and from one day to the next, somehow something always turned up. But I had to believe. I had to believe in my guidance. I had to believe that I'm always carried and supported by my team and by the divine. Okay? So, and there were many other instances. There were things like social welfare, which is like the benefits office here. I had many instances where I didn't hand in papers or didn't do certain things which should have cut me off the money, but I always worked with it consciously, transcending my fear, sitting with it. And once I transcended the fear, nothing happened. It was always okay. By logic, that shouldn't have been the case at all, especially not how many times I got away with things. So I'm just saying, it's like you sit with the fear, literally. Like, I remember a day, like the fear was so intense, but I just had to literally lie in it. So what I do, for example, like another example, a few months back, I had this, when we talk about the event, we often have heard solar flash, okay? Now, a real solar flash, as in a solar flare directed at Earth, a big one, okay, would be like a Carrington event that like fries the whole electrical grid. Now, might not be a bad thing because we have another grid coming, okay, online now, very, very, very soon, any moment now. But ultimately, okay, it was the fear of, let's say, such a solar flare happens and it kills the grid, and there would be nothing new online, and basically it's like a war zone because it would be pre-industrial stage, and nothing would be working, no cars would be working, no electricity, nothing, okay. So I was in my head, it's like, okay, if that would happen, I had to go in my mind in meditation, or when you're just quiet and can focus on this, just you write the timeline. So you go into the timeline and live it out, because ultimately it all exists holographically, okay, in consciousness. It just focusing your consciousness in on it. So sitting with the timeline of what would happen if that would happen, and what would I do, because my daughter, for example, she lives with my ex, and there would be like 3 hours usually on a bus to get to her, okay? So then no buses would be there. So for me, it would be the only thing, okay, I have nothing prepared. Also for any, just so you know, I have not prepared for any kind of catastrophes, okay? Because I don't prepare for that kind of stuff. That would be me manifesting it, okay? So there's no rationing, money saving. I mean, I don't really have the means for all of this. It's not really a problem for me. I'm not afraid to lose anything because I literally have not very many possessions and nothing to lose. So no fear there, okay? But you don't need to lose everything. It's just that you need to lose the fear of losing it, okay? So if you can do this in your mind, as I'm telling you now. So if that would happen, solar flare, no electricity, I would literally know, I would just pack my bag and just walk. I would know, okay, I'm not very good with directions, but I knew I would just walk along the coastline, basically all the way up north to past Dublin. So, and I would somehow make it. So I transcended in my mind all the fears, and that would be the only thing that I would really be, kind of would be on my mind in that kind of moment. And obviously whatever came up on my way up there. But that's how I worked with that timeline, that fear coming up that just came into my awareness. And then you collapse the timeline, because it's in your DNA, it's in your consciousness. Okay, so you can imagine this is maybe corns of sand, being blown away by the wind, or you burn it up with fire. Okay, and then you can also go one step further and then manifest the timeline. Yes, Kitty, what you want to experience. Okay, and the main thing is that you feel it all, because all that ever happens in our lives, okay, is for you to purge the fear. So you don't even need to experience it if you can work with it. Now, you still may need to experience it, or may not need to, but it's just an agreement you made on a higher level that you might not be aware of. But ultimately, everything is always happening for us, okay? So keep that in mind of whatever is going to happen or not happening, okay? And I'm definitely not... I'm not expecting any kind of fearful events. I'm expecting big awakening, heart and mind opening, and seeing new earth. Okay, I'm talking about in a blink of an eye, all realities have changed. I am talking about big ass miracles, because that's what we came for, and that's what I'm seeing as possible. And that's what I'm seeing as initiated. Now, exactly when, we will see. I feel very, 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 very positive over the next 24 hours to 72. So we shall see what happens then, but ultimately it's always a no time, and we do not have attachments to any outcome, okay? Because we surrender to divine will. This is about divine intervention, but we're also making it happen by setting our intentions, okay? And whatever else we're guided to do, such as the activation, posting, or, you know, making videos like this, because I know everything we do has an effect, especially on the higher dimensional levels of ourselves. So we need to claim this. We came here. We are the writers and directors. Okay, we always have been holding the timelines. It's just that we have been influenced, and it's basically been hijacked, the hologram, okay, to manifest for some deranged psychopaths. So we're not going to do this anymore, are we? I'm not. Now, we're in charge, all right? And we need to claim this without attachment. So I hope that helps with the fear. You need to basically sit with it, okay? And I wrote something, I don't know, earlier today, yesterday, about, you know, anger turning into wisdom, and somebody got a bit triggered by it. Anyway, what I mean by this, just to clarify, is that if you sit with all of your emotions that are not, you know, so nice, because you need to ultimately go deeper and see what's beyond it. Because behind anger is fear. Behind frustration is fear. Behind all of that stuff is fear. It's just everybody has different fears, okay? Us trying to control an outcome comes from fear. So that's ultimately what's connecting us to the matrix. So that's what we're here to transcend. Because again, this is ultimately transcending all fear of death. And that actually works out in this instance more as a transcending or an ego death. It's a collective ego death, because we are having to transmute now as an organism into a different state and consciousness, which is unity consciousness, which is no longer based on a negative, distorted ego. Now, ego is okay in the form of individuation. It's a very important thing, of a healthy sense of self, okay, and know thyself. But it's not like the negative ego, okay? There's obviously a difference. Because we are, as an integrated ego now, in alignment with our higher selves and God's source selves. And a few of us, okay, can do this. This is not ultimately about numbers. It's about the frequency that we're at. A few of us, highly aligned, plugged into source souls, okay, can make this happen. And I already see it. I mean, it's already done. It really is. I got the message. It's really, it's beyond done. And yeah, the collective karma is being transcended through that. So the event I'm seeing, it's a total purification event, healing, quantum healing event, and awakening of us remembering who we really are. Because ultimately it's awakening from a dream, from the wrong, like inserted dream consciousness that is then totally being wiped. So this is also history wiped. Ultimately, the false history. But we will still remember what has happened. Okay, so it's like waking up from a nightmare, quite frankly. One thing too, what's going on in the UK and Ireland. I sit here in Ireland, and so there was yesterday or the day before, no, a few days ago, we had that it was announced in the UK, now they've binned all the restrictions, the COVID restrictions, besides I think a couple, but basically they lifted it all. Then Scotland did the same. You know, there are obviously like a couple small ones, they're still in place. And then Ireland today followed. So from tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. they have most of the restrictions banned, binned, whatever. They're gone. Besides, of course, the mask mandate until the end of February. So I'm very much underwhelmed. And what I also, so on one level, yes, that's great. Okay, this is ultimately a sign, a very big sign, because the UK and Ireland as well, really together, are a stronghold for the negative alien agenda. So this is a huge sign. But it's also, you know, obviously nowhere near enough, because we're going here for full freedom and liberation. So this is like, this is preparing the consciousness as I'm seeing it for what's coming, because what I'm observing is that the consciousness is confused, or at least some. So you know, a lot of people who would have followed a lot of the conspiracy theories and so forth, they're like kind of expecting, oh, this is just, you know, they're going to take the freedoms just away again, or it's going to be another agenda, and, you know, all these agendas haven't collapsed, and, you know, it's just, they don't trust it, okay? Now, I'm not saying to trust these people. It's what I'm seeing that I'm sharing, okay? It's like, this is done. Beyond done. And as I said earlier, we need a new word for it, really. The full completion of this experiment. Okay? What I'm seeing. Again, take what resonates, leave the rest. And out there is an illusion. So even that is part of the Maya, okay? Of the illusion of the mind. And this is ultimately a quantum dream. We are all hallucinating, okay? We're all on a trip, albeit it's a bad trip. And we just have to now remember we're dreaming and dream a whole new dream. I'm not saying this lightly. This is really what it boils down to in quintessence. And now is the time, okay? So we can make this as complicated as we want to, go into mechanics and so forth, but I'm trying to simplify this here, okay? For everybody to understand this. Now, what they are doing, I'm seeing is, I mean, besides these stories playing out there, and we're also hearing some rumbles from the US of the National Guard being you know, initiated, activated. I'm not even paying attention much to that. Of course, I was happy to see those signs, and they speak to me in a different way than to most people. But ultimately, this is way beyond that, what we're working on. So don't be distracted by what is happening or not happening, but it's also opening up the consciousness right now, because, for example, what I'm saying, the consciousness is confused, that the people who are into, you know, still very much in fear about, you know, and they kind of appreciate the masks and the passports and so forth, they are obviously all of a sudden like, first of all, it's like only halfway through January, like this is flu season, yeah? And then, I mean, obviously everybody's waking up from, okay, we've been in mass hysteria about the flu, basically, over the last 2 years. You know, it's the whole mass psychosis, which is the mass hysteria, is imploding in on itself through this narrative shifting from one day to the other. The explanation is Omicron has peaked. Nonsense. All of it. So, and even those people are now seeing, because all the data doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, it never did, but obviously it's a little bit more now. You know, so it's like, so we went through all of this for you to now just drop this from one moment to the next. You know, can you see what's going on there? So it's like obviously everybody's seeing this slightly differently. Okay, so there's no trust, other ones feel afraid, and, you know, it's all of that stuff going on. So it's activating the consciousness, and there is light at the end of the tunnel. Okay, so it's playing its purpose, it's playing its role, but by no way do I see this as, you know, as the solution, or this, you know, and they're certainly not getting away with it. Now, another reason why this is the time now is that the call has gone out, the final call for surrender of those associated with the negative alien agenda. So either they surrender now, or they will be removed. And basically it's TikTok, and we're talking about, I don't know, you know, under, you know, the 24 hours and a little bit more maybe. But that's what I see literally as the cutoff point, and I'm not joking. And I can also see, or what I was shown just before I came on, really tapping into cosmically and on a consciousness level after the Divine Mother energies, because it's the Mother arc that will lead the purification, the final purification, and it already is leading it, and healing all of her creations back to perfection. So it's the Divine Mother arc energies, and they directly stream from source. But what that also means is that those dark, lower, negative creations will have to be killed in a way. Although they're anti-life, it's still part of her creations, and it's like killing your own children, even if they were conceived by rape. And that's the best way I can put it. So this is what is being, at the moment, that's what's happening. So we are ready. That's all I can say to that. Now, does anyone have any questions? anything I can help with? Oh, one thing, okay, earlier as well, underneath one of the posts. Entities. Now, when I say it is done, I'm not saying that, all the entities are gone already. I think I hopefully made that clear now through the video of more of what I mean by that, okay? And what was I saying? I totally forgotten. Oh yeah, entities. Okay. So I could also feel this morning like there is, and the main interference I can still feel is some AI and obviously thoughts. It's iconic thought forms. All right. Now everybody has different experiences of what they're still trying to release and what they're maybe fighting with. Now, as we're in the last end stage, okay, yes, there are still battles going on, and yes, there are still psychic and energetic attacks. I can also feel them in the field, especially this week. Now, they're not affecting me much at this point, just because I have a very strong sovereign field at this stage. But I can sense it, and obviously I could see earlier on that people are struggling with that. And believe me, I know about interference and psychic attacks. I know what it's like when you have a voice in your head telling you to kill yourself. Okay? I know what it feels like to be literally tortured on the inside. So we need to really understand that this is part of our test initiations, and we are all sovereign beings having to command our sovereign space. Now I shared underneath that post early on as well, something like a 12D technique, like a 12D shield. You could look that up on Google. I'll drop that later on underneath here as well. That comes from Lisa Renee, an Ascension glossary, and also a script that she published on her page, which you can use to, expel demons and entities. Now, I don't use the script. I've once, used one of hers like a few years back of commanding your own sovereign space. Ultimately, this is about a frequency, and you don't need to follow a specific script. This is you going deep within, connecting to your soul and to source and your team, and you command your space. At this point of the juncture, there is nothing and no one that can hinder your ascension, unless you believe it to be so and you're giving your power away. And that's ultimately what entities are. They can only feed on you and get access to you if you give your power away. That's what it boils down to, which happens in many different ways, obviously. So we have to cut those openings. We will always have to, be sovereign beings. That's New Earth living. That's unity consciousness. We're interdependent. We can't play these codependent victim-victimizer games anymore. That's done. So we need to really, check our field energetically, but also on a consciousness level, as I spoke about before, happening in various ways where you just don't, play these games anymore with the people in your life. And, you come from divine love, but you have boundaries and you have standards and you have limits. So we're both. It's the both end. It's the full balance of yourself, full integration of your multidimensional self, all of your aspects, okay? They're all balanced, and each moment will ask a different aspect of you to come forth. And sometimes it's tough love. So, for example, parasites, okay, and I think this is also the main problem what we've seen here over the last years is really parasitic infestation and, people toxic, but ultimately it comes back to the consciousness, because it doesn't matter how many, fasts and cleanses you do, if your mind is full of crap, it really doesn't matter that much. So, it's really the programming that we are after and that we need to look at, and where something is not aligned, and that will become very visible now. We do not need someone to tell us and give us a list of what's right and wrong. We have inherent abilities to know that that's what we have feelings for, okay? That when there's a twinge and, you know when you didn't do something quite right and where you need to make an adjustment. So, and this is all part of having the sovereign energetic field, because it's really the embodiment of Christic virtues, God consciousness virtues. Okay, it's not about religion. It's about purity. So, Yeah, MSM is good. I don't know if you meant that, Marsha Mary. MSM is very good. You can take as a supplement also for crystallization, and it helps you detox your cells. Of course, all that stuff is supportive. Yeah, I don't want to say that it's not. It's everything, obviously, body, mind, and soul. But what I'm saying is, some people go a little bit extreme on the physical purification, but actually their mind, when you're in polarity and say this kind of food is so bad for you, that's more of a problem than almost eating that food, in my perspective, okay? Because this is all consciousness. Like, how else does nocebo and placebo, oh my God, I'm making up new words, okay, which wouldn't be new. So, the placebo effect, like you really need to understand the power of your mind. And this is what all of this is about. The disclosure and awakening I'm talking about is not about they did this to us. It's beyond that. We're talking about divine justice, okay? Which is like, ultimately, it's all perfect. Everybody has played their role. But those bad guys need to wake up now, make the right choice. If they want to live in line with the law of one, you're welcome to join the party. If you're not, you're gone. And that's just what it is. So also I want to say ascension, and this has been going on for years of people, will my friends ascend? Will I ascend? It's a fear of non-ascension, okay, that goes around. You need to transcend that as well. It's another fear, okay? Another program within the programs. And what I'm seeing is, as we are ascending, all ascend one way or another, okay? It's a big sorting out. So we're all lifting up in frequency. And the lowest frequency consciousness levels are just going to dissolve, okay? And people literally disappear. But these are really just the really bad people who have not decided the law of one, or also some bodies obviously do transition. But that's another thing. As we transcend this lower reality, we also transcend the illusion of death and separation. Because when someone dies, you're not dead. Your consciousness is still alive, as most of us know. So we will see those that have passed again. In whichever way we see that, I cannot tell you. I'm not saying to you, I know exactly what's going to happen and how it's going to look like. Nobody does. And for months, I have been told, you don't need to know. And I know also why, like to embrace the uncertainty and childlike wonder. That's the frequency we're after, okay? And knowing it's all going to be good. The total relaxation into the divine will. Just surrender it all. It's a strong position. It's not giving up. It's just surrender. It's a really super strong place. It's flow state. Okay? And that way, from one moment to the next, you will always know what you need to know when you need to know it. And you will always be carried and you will always be supported. It could be that you have a tsunami hitting your place and your house is the only one not touched. That's what we're working with here. That kind of navigation of timelines. Okay, and that's depending on your consciousness. Your consciousness is what all of this is about. Your expectations. What kind of timelines are you choosing? What are you focusing your mind on? And it's really time to let go of the old stories right now, because it's gone. It's done. Unless obviously you still need to understand something. And then you go deeper within. So when I say also going deeper within, it's really when we just sit with the anger. Okay, so for example, when I get angry, I sometimes still, like just today, I was triggered again by my mom saying some annoying things. Anyway, but it's like I sit with the anger, and I wasn't angry in this case, but I'm just saying, we all have feelings. It's about, you basically ride the waves, the energetic waves. We're here to transmute these energies and to flow with them, not to suppress them or to control them at all. Okay, you feel them, that's your job, but you don't let them control you. You master them. That's the difference. Okay, but your feelings are your navigational system, one of the most important part of it. Okay, you feel when something is off. 1:44 a.m. So basically, it's about embracing whatever you're feeling, okay? Love whatever arises, and sit with it. Like I would go into the anger, I feel the anger, but I'm not projecting it onto somebody else, if I can help myself. And I go within and sit within what I'm actually angry with, because usually it would be fear. It's angry within myself. I might not have, put a boundary up, or I've compromised myself, or, something. Because you're not ultimately angry with the other person, although you might be, okay, but ultimately it's more you, because you have also allowed someone to do something to you, okay, because you can't change the other person, but obviously if you don't go into it and see what happened there, you will do the same mistake again and again until you've actually see, okay, that's what happened here. That's the bigger story of it. This is why I was angry. I did not put my boundary up, or I said no and then I didn't really mean it, something like that, okay? And you compromise yourself, and then you're angry because you did it again, okay? So you might be angry with the other person, but ultimately, it's you also, were part of that co-creation. So that's why, but you need to purge the anger, because ultimately when you go into gratitude for anything being triggered within you, because ultimately it's always helping you to purge what you still need to purge. Otherwise it wouldn't be there. And also anger ultimately is a lack of understanding. If you would understand why another person is reacting or doing or not doing whatever they are doing or not doing, then we wouldn't be angry with them, okay? But it's ultimately us, we feel our ego gets triggered. They, might have overstepped the mark, and maybe rightfully so. But ultimately, if you are fully integrated and healed, you would be just, no, that was not okay, and next time I'm not going to do this again. And you would tell them that as well. But you wouldn't do it from an angry place. You would just do it from a very firm, no, not okay. All right? And might take a break from them or whatever is necessary. You understand me? So there's a difference. So we go into the anger or whatever other emotion comes in order to understand it. And that brings the wisdom. That's what I meant with that alchemical process. That turns all of that negative energy, which is ultimately based in fear, which is what keeps us connected to the matrix, false matrix, which we have to transcend. So every trigger is helping you to do that. So if you can see a trigger, go into gratitude, see, okay, here we go, anger again, my old friend, and you just sit with it, and you talk with yourself, you contemplate self-reflection, okay? Doesn't take rocket science. You don't really need a manual for this. It's really about just being present with yourself and going deeper. Because if you don't deal with it, you will explode at some point. That's the problem of suppression here. And yes, people don't want to feel these things or they judge them, but ultimately, anger is showing you where something is off, and it's a great catalyst for change. If you turn it all around, it's your perspective that matters. If you turn all of it around, all these trials and tribulations that we've been through ultimately made us to come into our power, because that was necessary, because we gave it away bit by bit over many lifetimes. And it was taken, of course, as well, But we need to transcend ultimately the blame and the shame now, okay, from both sides. Divine justice. Everybody has played their role, but now it's, this is the end of the game. So everybody gets to decide now what they want going forward. And that's it. Well, not it, but you get me. Always more. So, but this is ultimately where we're at the moment. That's what I'm saying. I think that was more or less it, what I wanted to share. If anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, we don't need to make that so long. I think I said everything. Yeah, the energy, I have to say this week, and also sometimes when I share certain things, people and of course everybody takes in, through their own perception, as if, when I say it's happening, whatever, that you have to feel happy or and people say, I'm not feeling it, I'm feeling anger and I'm feeling this and that. I wasn't feeling great this week. I wasn't feeling happy. That's not it. I can see what's happening and get the messages and still, move the density that needs to be moved. And there's been a lot that needed to be moved, okay? And as I said, we're going through the fears. And ultimately, the last step is transcending fully the fear of death. And ultimately, it works out here in transcending our fear, the ego, okay? So clinging onto your identity, clinging onto any kind of belief system, clinging onto your house, your family, who you think you are. because we're literally being totally transformed, and we will be transformed physically on all levels. Total transformation. So let it all go, total surrender, okay, but knowing it's all going to be okay. And any fear, just be with it. It's like just surrender to the fear. Don't fight the fear. Don't tell yourself you shouldn't feel fear. Just embrace it. Because if you suppress it, that's the problem, okay? Bring it all up and out. Bring it all up and out. Okay, sit with it, literally. Think the timeline through. Become basically okay with the worst case scenario. Like when this whole thing started, what I did was I got okay with someone coming to my door, dragging me out and basically putting me in a cell and injecting me, yeah? And I knew that, first of all, if I don't give my permission, my body is so intelligent and my sovereignty is so strong, I will not give anyone a permission to put something in me that will harm me. It would not be able to harm my body, okay? Again, placebo, nocebo. But your belief is what really counts here. And ultimately, freedom, nobody can take that away from you. It's not something somebody grants you. That's the other problem of all of these restrictions being lifted. It's like, who are you to tell me anyway? So that's a frequency. And that's what we're anchoring here now. We are the anchors of God consciousness, of the unity field, the new grid, okay, through our embodiment, through embodying sovereignty, through embodying freedom and truth and abundance. And one more thing on the abundance, please do not focus on money, okay? Think of abundance in more tangible forms than money, because money is also fictitious and it also has been used as an enslavement tool, okay? Now, neutralize your energy around this, but this is just another form of us, waiting for big packages of money. It's just another inversion, I feel. It's another distraction in a way. So just focus on the, having a nice place to live or, traveling and whatsoever, okay? And do dream big. Yeah, it's not about opulence. It's about just freedom, isn't it? That's what we're really after. We want freedom and happiness. I don't care about the money. You know what I mean? It's just a means to an end. So think of the end. That would be my tip as well, okay? Navigational tip. And literally transcend your fear of you not ascending, of other people not ascending, what's going to happen or not. It's like, ultimately, it's even like death, okay? Even when we die, we're going to be back. So, that's where you need to be for ascension. Total transcendence of all those fears. So let them all go. And they will be triggered and pushed. Just know them for what they are. See them as a test. See them as an initiation. That gives you, it's a different attitude that you will have to it. Instead of, why is this happening to me? It's like, okay, I co-created this. So, what am I here to learn? It might not be enjoyable in that moment. And as we go through it, but that's how you get through it more easily and more quickly, believe me. If you're fighting it, whatever you resist persists, and whatever we fight, we feed, whatever we feed our attention towards, we help co-create. These are very real laws that are pretty much, very solid. How can we best support a friend or family member who took the vaccine and now regrets it? I would really, and that's also why I didn't, during the time when all of that went on, went to, friends and told them, oh my God, this is going to, do terrible things to you. I would have said I would not take it. And I believe this and this is this was the agenda. Like, so for example, what I believe mainly what it was about was obviously preventing DNA activation at a mass level, which they didn't achieve. Also transhumanistic agenda, also, headcount to reduce that. Because we are too many humans anchoring frequency for them now. So anyway, so there's different levels to the agenda, plus also the programming and the whole, control agenda and, conditioning people really into this. And then also the fear loosh collecting. So it depends on what level of consciousness the friend or, family member is at, I would say, on how you want to approach this exactly. But I would just say, this is what I believe, or, whatever your belief is, obviously it's not my belief necessarily, whatever you believe, okay? But just, I would try to not come from a fearful place of saying, you're now totally hooked into AI and you never ascend and you're going to die in 2 years' time. That's kind of some of the stories that went around at the time, okay? And you need to understand, we have a huge power to manifest this. Again, placebo, nocebo. Are you giving that much power to that stuff? I'm not saying that it's not having an effect on people, okay? And that's another thing, okay, I'm going to go into now. Because there was a question last time. So let's say people are having negative effects from it. I believe ultimately any kind of physical disease, illness, is a result of an inner unresolved conflict. Now that can also be a foreign material in your body, okay, that your body is in conflict with, okay, that also belongs to that. But ultimately, I believe the people who are getting ill after the vaccine, first of all, on higher soul level, this is co-created, okay. We all, doesn't matter what happens, even death, I believe, is pre-chosen, co-created by your soul. And what was the other thing, what I wanted to say? Yeah, and that, because why are some people affected and some people not? It's because there's already an imbalance or the toxicity level of the person is already high, that it's just one more thing that triggers the body into a healing crisis. And ultimately, any healing crisis is there in order for you to come to heal yourself. And we have amazing bodies that can heal themselves, okay? And we don't need all these aggressive interventions. Now, especially right now, we are looking at quantum miracle healings, okay? So that's another thing. I have been working with many of the activations and in the work I do in my own time on clearing all this from the field, from the human bodies. I work in alignment with divine will on a collective level with the planetary body, which belongs all human into that, okay? And all of these activations, as well as I always say, they are collective. We are just helping to anchor them in, amplify them, direct them, okay? So we have already been clearing out all these AI materials and AI signals and toxins and all of that crap. So this is almost all gone, okay? So obviously, person to person, every body is different. That's also why effects will differ, okay, from person to person. But ultimately, this is what's also been fully healed with tomorrow's event. As in, as I'm saying, this is a trigger event, okay? We're triggering all this. But I do believe ultimately we're working towards a moment in time where in a blink of an eye, we're literally waking up in another reality, okay? And are efficiently healed. So I don't see it as an end all at all. I do believe, the theories that went on of what that was what was the, agenda behind it were correct, but I don't believe the effects were that disastrous, that bad. I'm getting tired. Not finding the words, but you get me. So obviously, I mean, they had to make up, obviously, the numbers. The numbers were all wrong. People, now everybody's like isolating. Nobody's really sick, not nobody, but you get me. And, ultimately, I do believe all illnesses are on another level psychosomatic, or at least, they are really consciousness related. So even if I go and get hit by a car and I break my leg, there is still something that needs to be resolved on a consciousness level. I hope that made sense to people. I'm sure when I'm going to listen back to this, I'm like, I didn't say this or that, because as I'm saying, I'm getting a little bit tired at this point. It's almost 2 a.m. my time. Don't ask me why I come on always this late. It just always works out this way. I just flow with it. No time. No time. So I wouldn't really worry so much. Again, not that many people died. The numbers, they didn't get the numbers. It wasn't very effective, the whole agenda. Thankfully so, and thanks to all of us who made this happen, okay? Because we helped make this happen of really lessening these effects. And so please be very aware of the consciousness you are projecting onto all of this, okay? This is another thing. As with these narratives now collapsing, because I spoke to someone today, and, people are not quite trusting it, just be very aware if you go into, oh yeah, but they are going to plan now climate change restrictions and, or, you know, whatever, war. Be very aware what you're helping to manifest. You are co-creators. You can say, this might be what they want to manifest, but we have so much more power. And this is the main thing which I'm trying to get to you people, okay? And I know I need to maybe be less trying to convince anyone here, okay? But it's like my main thing, okay? My main message to humanity, okay? Forever. We are here to co-create our realities. And we are here to remember this now. Because we've always co-created this as one consciousness. We've just been asleep, we've been unconscious, and we've been behaving like little school children who don't have much mastery over their mental, emotional bodies. Okay? And a lot of unconsciousness, of course. So we are here to make the unconscious conscious. Never mind about even spirituality. This for me is about consciousness, about mindfulness. Okay? We need to also simplify the whole thing, to make this approachable and accessible to everyone. And this really points down to really simple core laws. As I said, thoughts create things, okay? Repetitive thought forms create belief systems. Belief systems are programs, and this is what this world is built upon, such as money doesn't grow on trees, or I need to work hard to earn a living. These are all programs that create those realities. So we have to totally unplug them, because ultimately everything is a frequency and consciousness. So we have to be the frequency of abundance, of doing what we love, and know that money is still coming in, we're still always going to be provided for. Because that's what we believe, because that's our program, the one we are running. And we came here to decode our realities, to recode them, re-encrypt the realities, okay, to create new programs. That's what I do with my work, and that's what we do consciously as we break through these fears, which are the false programming, the matrix programming is all based in fear, in survival, and separation. So that's what we need to transcend. CV was used to explain many matrix background characters disappearing, and the fact that we are now in frequency, specific resonant timelines, frequency lines. Yeah, it's literally disappearing. I mean, this is beyond, it's like the Mandela effect, where one moment it's like a whole, scene in a movie has changed, or a person that was dead is alive, and people that were alive are dead. All of a sudden disappear because they're just not part of the timeline anymore. Okay, and I spoke about this before, I'm not going to go into this again. It's literally like us quantum leaping, and it's beyond quantum leaping. This is beyond all of this actually, and it's beyond timelines even. But it's literally going back to the future, to a time or to a reality where the invasion never happened, but with the lessons learned. So it's like as if, it's like a mirror timeline where this hasn't happened. But it's still like, it's still forming in a sense, because it's also a creatrix field. So it's like, think metaverse, just in an organic form. And there's no division of timelines and dimensions, even in that sense, as we understand it now. That's what I'm seeing and being shown for a while now. If your family is not waking up, can we bring them with us to jump? No, just you jump. Stop worrying and trying to convince anyone of anything or anyone is doing out there. You just do you. If they want to come to you, fine. But don't convince or anything like that. If they ask you, they're interested, of course, share with them. And ultimately, we're all doing this together. It's just that we are different levels of awareness. Like today, I went into the field with the activation to see. And I know that, again, this is an activation ordained by Source. And this is beyond me even talking here or putting up an event on Facebook, okay? This is a cosmic undertaking. So the call has gone out to the cosmic consciousness, the planetary consciousness in this case, because this is the focus. And it's basically billions of people taking part, souls at a higher oversoul level. We have all agreed upon the highest timeline. It's fully locked. It's going ahead. And they want it, even if people maybe seem otherwise. Okay? But most are on board. And this is happening again on a much higher level. Okay? There's so much we can't see and are not aware of. Way beyond this little game we are playing here. Okay? Always way beyond. Everything we do. Everything we do. I always speak to the field, even if I just speak to one person, even to my cat. So, yeah, we really need to watch how we talk. It's this whole, because I spoke to a friend who've been kind of programming for a while, reprogramming, helping him reprogram. And then he was also, we were talking about these restrictions yesterday, and then he was saying, oh yeah, but then, similar to the other person today, oh yeah, but then I'm going to bring this in or that, and they don't trust it quite so much. And then he was stopping himself. Oh no, wait, why am I even saying this? It's just a program. Because it is. The only way they've been doing this whole thing is by constantly bombarding us with information, and that also happens in a spiritual community, okay? Because there you have a whole nother layer of programming. Of telling us, what they're planning and what they're wanting to do. And then you going out, you saying, this is what they're planning. You're giving it your consciousness consent. Even if you're against it, you can take it, as I said, and say, this is what they're planning. But I am manifesting this instead. And this is how powerful I am. And this is really what all of this is about. Us now remembering our power, understanding that we came here to make the event happen, for us to command our own sovereign space. We are commanding our planet back. We are here to take over and be the guardians. How can we take over as guardians? By us not proclaiming that we are. By us not holding the frequency of that we are now in charge and the leaders. Yeah. And you can't convince anyone of anything because it's based on frequencies and consciousness levels. Totally. And I had to remember that this week. Because I was getting very frustrated. But then it's, just people can't get it. People don't get it if they don't, not on your frequency level. Good news is, we're all up leveling, okay? And what I'm seeing is the unity consciousness field. It's an agreed upon sense of we know ourselves as one, okay? Common agreed upon sense of ethics and morals and virtues, which we operate on, because that is also connected to the 12-strand DNA activation. Because again, this also holds the virtues as a consciousness within your DNA. When you talk about instruction sets, like I am here to anchor the new instruction sets for the consciousness, and I share them with you, it's basically the instruction sets for your morphogenetic field. And for your DNA, it's based on consciousness. So, when we speak about Christ consciousness, it would be like, being loving and compassionate and all of these things, peaceful, so forth. And you embodying this is what switches on these strands of DNA that correspond with that frequency. And as we then embody all of these virtues in our morphogenetic field, the new instruction sets, the new consciousness, that's what activates everything. Obviously, we do this many different ways, sound healing, many different ways of how we can activate our DNA, activation, so forth. So the sun, but ultimately it does come back to the consciousness we hold, okay, which is why we speak about Christ consciousness. Okay. I was just looking at the comment, but I'm not quite understanding it. So I think this is it, because this is it. I see you literally at the after party, people. Holidays, after parties. Let's see how it all plans out. I'm like, I know I'm going to be okay. That's all, literally, I know. And I know we're in the safe zone. We can relax now. Relaxation is key, obviously, again. Okay. We might have some last moments of interference trying to mess with us, know it for what it is. Sometimes in the worst moments that I've had with interference, when it really would bug me down, literally just go in total surrender and neutrality, because ultimately everything is you. There's nothing to be afraid of. I would literally just be like, it's a frequency of no fear, and then nothing literally happens. And that's what I experienced, okay? Ultimately, because I also work through it, also because I work a lot with the Mother Arc energies, which transmutes the negative energies through you. And I've done this over many lifetimes, literally being a planetary exorcist. So it's like transmuting it through me back to source. So I've just have a high tolerance level for all that nonsense. But it's ultimately nothing at all I have to be afraid of. I merge with it in order to purify it through me and dissolve it through my field. But again, everybody, I'm not someone who, is offering any courses on that. Especially, I think that won't be necessary anymore. But as I said, neutrality, command your space. Like sometimes the other day I could feel interference coming in. I was having like a funny headache and I knew it wasn't quite, because that's also the other thing. The frequencies and activations that come in and the interference can be very similar. Okay, so like activation headaches and, activations to our crown and third eye, and then maybe frequency interference coming in can be very similar, and it's very hard for a long time. I know it took me a while to figure out what's what. Anyway, just a little tip, try that maybe out. So the other day I could feel interference, getting a headache, and then I was just like commanding my space free of interference, and it's literally this. So what I often do is, like I mentioned, a plasma ball in my heart center. Plasma is like fire, water, liquid light. Okay, it comes in iridescent, pearlescent, really rainbow colors. I often see it opaque, like kind of whitish, and then with rainbowish reflections in it. And you basically breathe and you hold it and you let the plasma ball build up in your heart, and you keep holding it, and then you basically say, purify, clear, release, dissolve any and all interference, lower frequencies, energies, entities, vibrations in my field throughout all time and space. And then you go, okay. And then you can also back to source. I often work with a white vortex, back to source, okay? I believe there's no one right or wrong way to do this. Ultimately, this is a frequency. I feel it is much more effective you saying something like this from your own power and knowing that you can command your own sovereign space. Because if you cannot do that, who then? If you cannot free your field, who can do it for you? It's your body, your bodies, spiritual bodies, yeah? And physical, mental, emotional. And you are the one who needs to command your space. Nobody, like, people can help you, but even if you do an entity clearing, it's not going to get rid of all the entities in one go, ever. Again, these are actually thought forms that have manifested, so it's connected to negative thought forms and belief systems you have running in your field. This is what makes you susceptible to that. So that's why you need to work on a consciousness, okay? Doesn't matter how often you clear your field. I've been clearing my field for years, but ultimately I need to also work on my consciousness, which then gives me sovereign field, okay? It's all of these things. But you are ultimately the one, if you say something like this from your heart and you command it out, whatever it is, demons and parasites and entities and attachments and AI inserts, AI materials, AI signals, okay, anything you can think of, make a list, say it out loud, command it. Clear, dissolve, remove, release, once and for all, back to source, or wherever is in the highest alignment. So this it is done. Because this is the time now, and we need to command our field, and you're the one to do it. All right? So you saying this from your heart, from really the frequency, knowing that you have that much power, because you have, is much more effective, I believe, than, maybe reading someone else's script and just repeating some words that don't feel, where the feeling, the frequency is not there of you believing that you can do that. So I hope that has helped. I went all over the place, forth and back, quantum jumping, as we do. Now all is set. I see the frequencies are going to increase quite exponentially from now over the next 24 hours especially, and we'll see what happens after that. So we give it our best shot, total surrender to divine will, and we let go. We point the arrow, and the rest is up to the wind, aka source. Okay, so it's a divine co-creation. We're not in charge. We're not controlling anything. We're not attached to any outcome, all right? But we know good things are coming. I know good things are coming. So I hope I could, bring this to you in a little bit of a frequency by me speaking about it, because that's my aim here. And let's do this. Let's finish the job we came here for. It's already done, but we also keep making it happen in every moment, every thought we think, every word we say, every belief we hold, every action we take. Everything is this. Everything is this. But it's ultimately a frequency, okay, that you hold, a general consciousness, your whole morphogenetic field. All right? So let's do it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you guys. Thank you for being here now. Let's make it happen. Hugs, blessings, and happy co-creation. See you in New Earth very soon. Bye.